also on behalf of our group to congratulate Kenny and Dave and Marty and all the recipients this year and the scholarship winner. It's a tremendous honor. The words Vince Tringali, quiet, shy, patient. I've never been uttered prior to my saying that. He was none of those things. He was big, bold, loud. He pushed you. He insisted that you do more than you could. He knew that you could do more than your 16 or 17-year-old brain thought you could do. He took you out of your comfort zone. And when you thought you'd achieved something, he said, it's not good enough. You got to be better than that. And there was a long line of people with talent who became really, really outstanding. 9 people here in this organization, from Tom Kennedy to Bobby Giorgetti, from Rudy Librato, Buddy Bastatich, John Deschler, to Mike Mazza, Mike Ryan, and Jim Fagone. Too many to name who were outstanding players who became superior players because they got pushed and they listened and they worked to the level that Vince wanted. So where did that come from? He's the son of Sicilian immigrants. Yes. The important word there is Sicilian. And he grew up in North Beach. But while the people in this room were playing touch tackle or soccer or whatever sport at school, Vince wasn't, because Vince couldn't barely walk, couldn't run. He spent much of his early years at the Shriner Hospital, hospitalized more than a year because of a debilitating physical condition. He had multiple procedures. And when other kids were going to, in his neighborhood, to Salesian or to public school, he went to Sunshine. And for those of you that don't recall, Sunshine was the San Francisco school for, to use the vernacular of the day, for crippled children, for the handicapped, for the children that people didn't want to see. He was very, very proud to be a graduate of that school. And he worked extremely hard. And he showed great courage in what he did to overcome his disabilities. And by the time he was a junior at Galileo, he was allowed by the doctors to participate in sports. And he seized life. And he played at Galileo, and he went on to play at College of Marin. I know George said he was a tight end, and Vince always insisted he was a tight end. Nobody that played for him ever thought he could catch a pass. From College of Marin, he went to USF. And for those of you that don't know the history of USF's 1951 undefeated, untied, and uninvited team, it's a story of brotherhood and social justice. And I encourage you to look into it. At the end of spring practice, Vince suffered a blow. He was cut. And Roy Barney, one of his teammates and close friends from North Beach, went to see Coach Joe Kuhara and said, why'd you cut Vince? Everybody loves Vince. And Kuhara said, he's a clown. And it stung Vince. It stung him. And it activated another level. And he worked his butt off that summer. And when he came back in the fall after summer practice, starting at one defensive position was Hall of Famer Bob St. Clair. Starting at another defensive position was Hall of Famer Gino Marchetti, the greatest tight end in the first, greatest defensive end in the first 50 years of the NFL. In between them was Vince Tringali. And he started every game on that team. 9 members of that team were drafted into the NFL. 4 made the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Vince was drafted by another organization, the United States of America. And he went to Korea, where he was tested to show another line of courage. His courage was displayed at Pork Chop Hill, one of the most devastating battles of the Korean War, an absolute siege, as hordes after hordes after hordes of enemy troops tried to take this hill that was designated by someone as important. Vince was a machine gun. He survived. He came back. He was working in the produce market, not quite sure where he's going. And Father Tom Reed, who was the principal at SI, wanted him in person and offered Vince a job. and Vince took the job. And every great coach is first and foremost a teacher. And Vince's job was to teach. He taught English, he taught history, and he didn't feel completely prepared. So he prepared himself and he studied, because he knew that his job, whether he was coaching or teaching, was to get everything he could out of every single player. And that was his goal, and that's what he did. And the wins came on the teams, but there's so much more. In 1962, on a Friday in December, the Chronicle featured in the sport page the rankings. And St. Ignatius was ranked #1 in the nation. First team from the Bay Area to do so. The only team other than De La Salle ever to be ranked #1 in the nation. And it was a tribute to Vince, and it was a tribute to the coaches, it was a tribute to the players, but it was also a tribute to the AAA. Because you don't get to be the #1 team in the nation unless you play very well against really good teams, against Balboa and Bobby's Lowell team and other teams. And a lot of people didn't understand that it was a tribute to what the quality of football was in the Bay Area, but Vince did. His legacy is seen in many ways. His legacy is seen in the men who were boys, who became coaches. Here today are many of those people. Alan Saunders, head coach of the San Diego Chargers, longtime NFL coach, one of Vince's boys. Bill Haskell, longtime coordinator in the NFL, one of Vince's boys. Bill Laveroon, former line coach at Seattle Seahawks, one of Vince's boys. Neil Zombucas is not here. Neil coached 29 years at the University of Oregon. It's seen in the high school coaches. There's too many to name, from Ray Calcagno to Mike Mitchell to Jim Faloni, who took the lessons that Vince taught them as boys and implemented them in their life to build success, not just on a football field, but in the character of the people that they became. He had two mantras. One, 100%, you do your very best at all times, whether it's practice, whether it's a game, or in the classroom. And if you don't, you're letting down your teammates, or you're cheating yourself. His other, you never quit. Never, ever quit. And if you look at the legacy that he left, you see it in the people that are here. You see it in who they became. And NFL Films did 2 segments on Vince, and I'll leave you with the words that he ended with the last speech that he had given. I will see you in victory. Thank you very much.